o'clock. I am calling the June 26th, 2023 meeting of the Franklin Public Library Board of Trustees meeting to order. This is Maria Imp. I will call roll call. Let's see, here we go. Judy Williams-Kalaki.
Here.
Doris Weber.
Here.
Terry Barris.
Here.
Anne Maria Klubgia.
Here.
Alan Alexandrovich.
Here.
Michelle Eichmann.
Here.
Annalie Bennon is excused, and Mike Karlovitz probably will be walking in any second. He's not here at the moment.
He should be marked down tardy then.
Well, that is up to the secretary. Last month after our meeting, several people noticed that because of our new location back in this room versus the Phaedra room, it is much more easy to have side conversations during the meeting. So I would appreciate if maybe we could signal if we had something to say and not talk to our neighbors, which is kind of why I'm sitting here so I can see y'all. So just indicate if you want to say something, and that way everybody can hear everything. So thank you for maybe helping with that. There are no visitors here this evening, no public comments. On page 2 of our packet is our annual donation from Liz Wallach in memory of Bev Pulaski. She donates $300 in memory of Bev. And for those that maybe aren't up to date with that, Bev was a reference librarian for many years and passed away, and her friend Liz donates money every year. To add books to our nonfiction collection, her interests of sewing, quilting, and gardening. So, and typically there is a small display of that once those materials are purchased. So that is what page 2 in our packet is about. And then we'll move on to agenda item 5, approving the minutes of last month's meeting, the May 22nd meeting. I have one correction to make. Halfway down, it states the March report under Treasurer's report. Annie, it should be April.
Jennifer copies and pastes.
Exactly. So we need to make sure that says April instead of March. That's the only thing that I saw. Did anybody see anything else that needed corrections? So we're on page 3 now of 31. The change on page 3, which is the first page of the minutes from March to April. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Alan?
I second.
I'm sorry, Doris?
Yes.
Alan and Doris. Any other questions about those? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstain? So moved. Take it away, Alan.
Okay, first thing we'll go through is the invoices. For Fund 15, the big one for Heartland Business System, $17,512.36. That's actually just equipment because they haven't done anything yet, so it's not a progress billing. But they did. We had all this equipment and it's all been received in.
So that's a pretty big portion of our $25,000. So
30,086. Oh, 25,000 for
is
them.
Our cap.
Yeah.
But yep.
And nothing else struck me, so this is pretty standard. So I'm looking for approval for payment of the invoices for $30,860.46. So move.
Second.
Terry and Michelle.
Terry.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We decided to let Annie decide how to mark you. No.
You have to sit in the corner.
So Terry and
I'll see it in a minute.
Right. All in favor of approving the Fund 15 vouchers and invoices?
Aye.
Anybody abstained or opposed? All right, so moved. Fund 16.
Fund 16 invoices, nothing was out of the norm. So I'm looking for approval on $6,206.87.
I just have one question. Can
Yes.
you please pronounce who we're paying the yoga classes?
No.
Okay.
Good question, Annie.
Their name is Tony.
Are you gonna say it's Tony?
It's Tony. Aqua, no.
Okay.
I am not sure how. I can ask them how they pronounce it.
And it's okay. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
I'm not.
I thought you were going to ask about the second one, not the first
do
one.
not know. Oh, that's Kilkarja. That
That's
one.
Kilkarja, I
can
know
say.
that.
I think as long as the name's spelled right on the check.
It's all that
Right.
matters. Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Sorry for
Tony
interrupting.
Nichols. Yeah, that's who owns that.
Tony
But I
Nichols?
don't know how to say the LLC name,
for him.
unfortunately. But
I make a motion we approve those.
Okay. Annie, do I have a second?
I'll second.
And Michelle. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Motion carries.
Okay, my report for this meeting on the May invoices.
Mhm.
The May report represents 41.37% of the year. Fund 15, the revenue is obviously way up there at 96.3%. Investment earnings continue strong at 439.31% of the budget. Our total expenditures were 40.24% of the budget, so we're staying where we need to be. Fuel accounts, 5299 Sundry Contractors. That's the cost of dust-free cleaning service, and we have no budget. 5428 allocated insurance. It was zero last month, so it's double this month. Same thing with 5560, the interdepartment charge allocation. And the only other question I have is, should we be looking for a reduction in the interdepartment charge allocation, because that's what we used to pay for a person, and now we've got dust-free. And I'm sure the new finance person is not making this a top priority to get that straight.
Absolutely. So I think what we need to ask you or Jennifer to do is to look historically back into what part of that interdepartmental was because a city person was cleaning over here. And now we have dust free and we are paying them. So it's like we're paying double.
Right.
Or
Did
something.
we ever have that breakdown? Do you know?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
So we need to look into that somehow and decide how we reduce our payment to the city, since we're paying for a city person to clean the library and paying for a cleaning service. You
Right.
understand that?
Yeah. So we're
sure.
still paying for
Yeah.
our city person in the
Right,
morning.
we're paying for hours for an employee from
Right.
the city. Yes. Okay.
But not for one in the evening. That's our cleaning service, so we should be paying less.
However,
Yes.
that's we didn't right.
Yeah.
It would be real simple if they just
Sure.
reduced it by
Exactly.
3,152.
Right. Exactly. So we need to get that on the books.
Yeah.
And just to back up, excuse me, Alan, to
Sure.
the allocated insurance and interdepartmental, I was going to comment this in my report, but I happened to be over at the city and spoke to somebody over there and said, you know, we didn't see these charges, and so they fixed it like immediately, which is why it was like taken care of.
Sure.
So-
Charging us will fix that immediately.
Right, but the allocated insurance also.
Okay.
It's a staff, staff.
Yeah, it's
But,
simple
so,
thing.
yeah.
Other than that, Fund 15, everything looked as I would have anticipated. Are there any questions on anything that you saw on Fund 15? Oh, okay. Fund 16, total revenue is 60.37% of the budget, so we're running well ahead of the portion of the year that we're through. Interest on investments, again, is strong. Donations continue strong. I just made the note here that miscellaneous revenue is the offset for programming expenses. So
Okay, that was my question for Carrie. what is included in that? Why is it so high? But it's programmed.
Right,
Okay,
and the reimbursements that we get.
gotcha.
Total expenditures are 58.82% of the budget, so we're running stronger than the portion of the year that we're in. Driven probably by count 5812 furniture and fixtures, 213% of the budget. This was on the credit report last month. I don't remember talking about it, but unless that was the chairs that we got
Yes.
from the
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
chiropractor,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
that's why miscellaneous
And it
income
was
is
probably happened right at the time of the month change and all that kind of thing. I don't have the date written down. but-
Yeah, it happened like the day after our meeting,
Right.
right? So it had to be
exactly.
right at the end of
Yes.
the month.
So, yes.
so. Other than those couple items, everything was as expected, and the cash register report is perfect
Of course.
as expected.
Of course.
Any questions?
Anybody's going to be like terrified if they ever have to take over for Alan because he's the only one that is perfect.
No, Jennifer got it perfect. She did all the work. I just kept whining about it every
Right,
time.
right. All righty. Continue.
Any questions on Fund 16? Right along then. The other report that I provide, but I don't know that we need to have much discussion on it, it's just the monthly so that we can see patterns. And if something is not following the pattern, we can ask the question and determine what it is. So that's Fund 15 and 16, where we have all those months broken out.
What pages?
That actually,
That's,
that
is
came
that
before
6,
the
7,
eye
8.
chart.
6, 7?
And then after that is the financials themselves, which help generate the pages before it. And I don't have any comments other than what my write-up has
Okay.
as far as the financials go.
Any other questions for Alan before we get into the budget?
Credit card summary
Oh, sorry.
looked fine. Nothing again jumped out. So
Okay.
that would end.
That would end your report.
Yes.
And we are just finishing page 14 of our packet. And we will pause here since everybody's here, and we will open the card from Jennifer. Are you finished? Carol?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is something Jennifer gave to us. It's a thank you card for being so kind. Thank you so much for the Uber gift card. It not only helped drive me around, it also helped me with meals in the beginning. Now I'm really on the road to recovery. Thanks again for your generosity, from Jennifer. I'll pass that around. She is not here tonight because this is her vacation week. This was a planned absence, as opposed to last month, which was not a planned absence. So then I will open
For
this.
staycation.
What's that?
Staycation.
Poor Jennifer.
Yeah. Ooh.
I can go get some.
So, she provided us with an
She's seen me eat before.
She'll go grab. And we will,
Thanks for get done at 5
Yeah.
5.
Very nice.
we will also have to, when she comes back, I'll remind her to keep the door open, but, we are gonna go on to the business section of our meeting as we pass around treats to the preliminary budget review. I can say that as of, and Michelle, you can correct me, as of very recently, we now actually have a finance person. Yes. Who is not quite up to speed, has not, Jennifer referred to it as opening the software that allows us to input budget stuff, BSNN or BS, something like that. So it's not quite there yet, but our finance committee has prepared a preliminary budget. So Alan or Mike or Terry, do you guys want to?
Well, we've already seen this,
Right.
right? So we're already
Yeah, right.
presenting this, and the
Right.
reason for bringing it forward was just to say, okay, we are going to be looking at this with people from the city and probably start looking at different places. Like I've already started to think about, okay, if we're talking about revenues or if we're talking about expenses, are there any places where we feel like these numbers, before they go to the city, one last look at it and say, is there anything, because this is going to be our departmental offering, not knowing what the city's going to come
Right,
up with.
right.
You know, we've got an amended budget that's a little bit higher. And then also when we talk about the net difference between revenues and expenses, all the way down the bottom where we're talking about net revenues versus appropriations, where we're talking about $106,000. So now there's going to have to be some fund balance allocation, you know, and we're not going to micromanage it.
Right.
You know, a lot of things are going to be a little bit different, like, you know, that we have seen increases in utilities. You know, those things that are really the big parts of the budget.
Right.
Costs for materials and our personnel costs.
Right.
So as long as those still seem to be, you know, kind of in line, if we're talking about increases in salaries and so much and things like that,
Right.
then we'll just go ahead with it. So the plan will be next meeting we'll have some
Right.
discussion
Right.
on this.
Yeah.
You bring anything forward that you would want to talk about in the preliminary budget, and then we'll kind of finalize that and say, okay, this is what we're gonna.
So you want to wait till next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I want to bring up something because I don't remember. If you go to page 16, sundry contractors, $38,000 in there for next year. Nothing any of the time before or after. Does any, Mike or Terry, do you remember what we were putting that in there for?
Isn't that the cleaning guy?
Yeah, the $3,200.
Yeah, isn't that the $3,200 for the cleaning service? Is that
Okay, never mind.
what is the
Good
company
job.
name?
Dust free.
Oh.
That's free.
Oh. I only knew because you had it in someplace else.
Good job on the math too, Jude.
Well, and I guess my question is the obvious of like, you know, utilities and things like that, but we have seen like janitorial supplies. You know, sometimes those, I just feel like the past 2 years have been above and beyond what we budgeted for.
Well, I guess what
And
I would
we're-
say then is just take a look at
Right,
the
right.
percent increase part
Mhm.
next to it,
Right.
and
Try to.
you know,
Highlight.
there's a utility line that Alan's got up there about what's, you know, what the
I see that,
anticipation for
right.
that, wage increases, and then just the inflation piece would be,
Mhm.
okay, what we're talking about.
Right.
Inflation across the board, and we should expect at least a certain amount of
Right.
of increase.
Well, we also know that like something has to be done with the patio.
Is that capital though?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's, we haven't seen in a little while, but that capital spreadsheet that Jennifer has given us too. So maybe I'll ask her to.
Yeah, so that would be
She's giving a,
fund balance dollars as opposed to
Right.
Okay.
city dollars.
right, and she's
Okay.
giving a quarterly update of, a strategic plan update, which I think she's also then would do that kind of update at the same time. We'll just make sure she includes that to
We'll put that on the
show us
agenda
where
for next
she's,
month.
where she's at, or,
Okay.
yeah.
When is the first budget meeting with the city?
I don't think they established, isn't it?
I think that doesn't start until like August or something, or July.
I mean, and then I know we had listed, and I know we're not trying to go through it all right now, but one of the other things that just popped out at me is we had talked about trying to send somebody to the conference
Mm.
like yearly, and we don't have any conferences in schools, and we don't have anything listed there.
Okay,
And that's
exactly the type of stuff.
So I think we're given this month,
Okay.
take a look, make notes, and then come back next month for you guys, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything else on it, Alan?
I'm just thinking about that conferences. Is that in Fund 15 or 16?
15,
That is in
Well, it
15.
says, yeah, 0511 5425 on page
like right in the
16.
middle of the page.
Oh, for the budget, I know, but
But where did we
Oh.
take it out?
where did we
Earlier
take it out
this year?
of earlier this year? Yeah.
The one they went to.
Was there a grant? Did you have a grant for some of that?
We did have a grant
Some.
for some of that. We have not gotten that money yet, though, I don't think.
I saw it listed. Oh, it's Fund 16.
Fund 16.
Yeah, same account number, but Fund 16.
Yeah, and we don't budget 16. I think
But
we
it
do,
is
but we don't spend a lot of time on it because all the real money is in
So maybe just based on Doris's comment, we ought to like pull up this month's Fund 16
Right.
detail
Right.
by month. And so if there's things like that come out of Fund 16 rather than Fund 15, it's not, we're not missing it, it's just, okay, we can anticipate,
know
we're
it's-
gonna pay it out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead. Well, and stuff like that's a good catch. Okay.
Anything else with the preliminary budget? Carrie, do you have any comments, questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Make sure it's enough money.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's just that easy. Just make sure we have enough.
All right, we're gonna go on now to business 7B, policy review. The first one is the code of conduct and banning procedure. And that one we had, the most recent review of it was in 2021. So there's not many changes. You can see on the first page, there was a word struck and then something added on the second page. My personal opinion is the addition on that second page about the emotional support animals is a good addition, but I'm willing to go with, I don't know, the consensus.
I would agree it's a good addition. I think you shouldn't need a support animal to come to a library. Go on a plane, something like that. Yeah. I can understand that.
Well, I think the distinction here is between there are certain things where you need for a disability, and then there's people who just have like service animals that are not like actually service animals, but they need them for emotional support.
Right.
And so,
Which are not covered under the American with
and we
Disabilities
still don't
Act.
have to accommodate by allowing them in as a public
Correct.
accommodation. So, do you have a process? Do people train like on when is it a service animal? When is it not? You know what I'm saying? Like how to tell the difference, or
Well, a service animal is supposed to have its tags and its
And its
yes.
ID,
So if
like
they do
that.
not have that on there,
Everybody's animal has service animal printed on it.
but like the official, like they wear a little.
Mhm.
They have tags and they have the little
Or like a harness.
harness.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, that's a
I was like
animal
trying to
earlier,
think of what you would
veteran.
call it. So I mean, I have had it where they do not have that, and I've said you cannot bring your animal in here unless it's a
Mama, get out.
service animal.
Yeah, there's a few that will bring in Franklin animals around that are not certified service animals, but will bring them into restaurants and establishments and so forth.
I think we need to add it because my concern is that we want to make clear what animals are allowed in, because if something happens and like the patron gets bit or something, that could be an issue. So I think we want to just, I think it's a good addition. to
I
make
think it's
clear.
a good
I
addition.
agree.
Okay. All right. So I noticed, I'm just saying, I noticed on these two policies, we do have two separate wordings. One was revised, one was reviewed and affirmed. So I don't know what wording we're currently
Well, we
using.
did make changes, so we are revising.
We are,
Yeah,
yes.
I thought the review. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike, because I thought the reviewed and affirmed was we looked at it, but no
With
changes
any
were
Said,
made.
Yeah.
good to go,
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
it's stating that we looked at it again.
Right.
Exactly.
So then
Okay, so this one has revisions, so
I'll make a motion to accept the revised version of the policy for public code of conduct and banning procedure.
Second.
Wait, before we with the addition of the emotional support, because they have a question
Well,
in
he
here.
I
said
did
the
say the
revised.
revised version.
Well, I didn't know if you meant the revised version was the or at the beginning. Because there's
oh, with
Mike loves
all
me
of
as a
the
lawyer.
changes.
With the change.
With the changes, okay.
Were there any other comments about that or discussion about any other parts of that policy? Beyond what Jennifer has and or her staff. Okay, then all in favor? Anybody opposed or abstain? Motion carries. And then the unattended children policy, which that wording has changed, so.
Why do we take out disruptive?
Yeah.
Because there's literally nothing about disruptive children in the policy. It's
Okay.
all about unattended children.
Oh.
If you read through it.
But it says responsibility for the welfare and the behavior of children using the library rests with the parent.
It doesn't specifically say that
It
they're
doesn't
being
define
disruptive.
disruptive
It doesn't
behavior,
it doesn't
really.
define disruptive
Yeah.
behavior at all.
My only concern about taking out disruptive is it suggests that we're not going to be able to remove children who are disruptive. Not that any children in Franklin would be. but, but you know what I'm saying? Like if people review the revision and so I just don't know, like, do we have a separate policy? But like is it just the
Well, there's
So
a
that's our
separate
concern.
behavior policy.
There is.
okay.
Correct. There should be. What's acceptable and unacceptable behavior in the library?
Children aged 7 and older
Yeah.
are able to be left
Yes.
unattended.
Yeah.
That's
That's
I know, but that's
I think of my
that's,
grandson who just turned 8. And
I know.
That's
are we
I don't
required
know.
to allow that under
I thought that was
state law?
really
Thought that was I know.
It is
Well,
really
it's been
young,
this way
but
for 8 years.
it has been this way for a
Yeah,
long time.
and I remember questioning that previously, but do we want to look into that and table this before we proceed? Or
The disruptive part or the age?
no,
The age
the
part.
age part.
You know, most parents aren't going to leave their 7-year-old in the library by themselves,
But some do.
but some do.
Uh-huh.
And if that child is becoming a problem, then we have the other policies or we can do something about it. But if the child is not a problem and a parent is leaving them alone, wouldn't you rather have the parent leave them alone here in the
Do we have
library
other
than in
policies
other
where we've got an
places?
age where we be consistent?
I don't believe it's a policy, but it's a procedure. So children cannot be in the create space
Mhm.
alone if they're under 7 either. So we keep 7 kind of
Okay.
like the age where, and like if we think about children's programming, the programming where they go in and they are alone without their parent starts in
7.
first grade.
Mhm.
So that's
Right.
six, 7. So it is pretty consistent across the board. Policy wise, though, that create space age is a procedure. It's not a policy. I don't believe so.
Have we had situations with kids that would wander off?
Yes, we've had children lose their parents and parents lose their children. Is that what you mean?
I have a wanderer.
Yeah.
I lose Evan every day.
Yeah.
We
The
talked
question
about
is,
trying
do
to
you
flay to
find
him. Yes,
them
we
every
find
day?
him. He's always wailing.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, it happens.
The unattended and we're striking and disruptive. What if we make it or disruptive?
I was just
Then I think you need to add something in the policy about what constitutes disruptive. And so I was the one that suggested taking it out because when I read it, there is nothing in here that tells me what is a disruptive child. And it just seemed like it's more of a policy about the unattended children and about, the parents making sure that they are with their children up through age 7.
I would like to present an example. So my 85-year-old mother is sitting in here. Child is disruptive, and so she reports it. Myself or Doris is sitting here, that same child, we're not even going to hear. So it's super hard to define disruptive.
Right.
That is part of the problem,
Hmm.
in my mind.
I would agree.
Unattended is easy to define.
right.
If the child is in the building and the parent is out of the building, they are not attended. If the child is in this corner and the parent is in that corner, or vice versa, they are unattended. So,
A lot easier if you have a behavior policy, we can list individual behaviors.
Which
Right,
we do.
right.
Which I know we do.
So
Okay.
if we've got that already, then maybe have
I think that's fine. Yeah.
And Michelle, you were gonna.
Oh, has there ever been a situation where a child who is younger, 7 or 8, that has been left unattended, exits the library and wanders outside?
Not
or-
that we know of, but if they're unattended and we don't know they're unattended and we have no contact with them.
Would that ever come up as a liability? If, say, heaven forbid, a 7-year-old walks out
We
and
don't have
they don't look
custody.
for a car.
It's
how
not
cars
our
fly.
it's not our custody of them. That's
Well, but have we created an obligation? Because
Yeah.
4 says staff will make a reasonable effort to ensure that children leave the library comfortably and safely. It's limited to closing time, but we're creating a liability there that suggests that we now have an obligation if we see a child leaving. Do we go and check to make sure whose car they're going into or where they're going?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I
I
did
just
not
don't
think
want
about
staff
that.
to ever have to feel like you're babysitters either.
Right.
They do so much as it is. That,
But
I
if
mean, it's
they're
just a second
leaving
thought.
the
It's not a comment.
library.
Yeah.
But if they're leaving the library, like they're like,
Right, but are the first sentence of paragraph 4 says staff will make a reasonable effort to ensure that children leave the library comfortably and safely at closing time.
yeah, that
What does
should,
that mean?
that
Yeah.
probably should change.
I would just be worried that somebody would get hurt, right? Because it says safely and comfortably. So say we're not going to check where's that child going when they're leaving, and then they
Yeah,
get
that
hit in the
shouldn't
parking
be
lot.
that shouldn't be up to us.
Right.
I my guess as to why that is in the policy is because it also does say in there too, if at least 2 staff members will remain if the minor child is in the building after closing, because we often have teenagers here whose parents drop them off and then do not come pick them up at closing
right.
time. So they're stuck here, and we
Right.
don't just shove them out the door,
Right.
right?
Well, I'm okay with
We-
that. I understand that.
Yeah.
And then calling the police after 15 minutes. But I just want to create an obligation where, because somebody's leaving the library at closing time and they're a child, we now have to go do something to make sure that wherever they're going is going to be safe. Or they're not going to get hit in the parking lot.
Or
But
what?
it does
Right.
preface it by saying leave it safely. That means get out the door. That doesn't mean anything that happens once they're outside.
Well, and it does say reasonable effort. So who's to state what is reasonable and what isn't reasonable? That like is a very loose term.
Should we table it and have Carrie or Jennifer consult with the city attorney or our new friend Cooper?
He's the city
know.
attorney.
I know, that's what I'm
With
saying.
Cooper, yeah. Cooper's a nice
Cooper
guy.
Brindle.
He's like an assistant city
He must
attorney
be, yeah.
or something.
And here's why. I mean, you have a 7-year-old who leaves the library, goes over to the park and breaks their arm. And then parents come back and say, we left them at the library because they said they would be reasonably.
Well, and I'm just worried, like, the library parking lot, is that technically still part of the library? It's the library grounds.
Now we're talking about a whole different
Right.
situation.
So it sounds like we have a lot of questions.
Mhm.
So may,
I mean, it does say upon
And I don't mean to stir the pot. or just
15 minutes
question it,
after
just see somebody
closing,
about
staff will contact the Franklin.
I'm fine with that. I feel like if somebody's in the
Right,
building,
right.
all that.
it. You just never know.
Doris,
Oh, anybody could get hit in the parking lot by just not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe just
Or
have
some
the
kids
attorney-
are riding their bikes through and get hit. Is that the library's responsibility? 'Cause
This
they're
is
in the
also why we
parking
need the
No,
security
yeah.
footage.
I- I don't think that is our library, our responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, the problem is that we put in here a sentence which
Right.
suggests that
Right. It
when
is
we are
our-
closing, we might have a responsibility.
Right, I think we almost need to just take that sentence out.
which one?
Staff will make a reasonable effort to ensure that children will leave the library comfortably and safely at closing time.
I could see that statement being in the employee handbook.
Right.
But
So that
not a
people will do it,
public,
but
yeah,
That's part of
But not as a policy.
yeah.
If you took that out, the rest of it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. It's just I'm just a little worried that in this litigious society, something's going to happen when somebody's kid is leaving the building, and then they're going to be looking at somebody to pay for the bills or to pay. for-
Michelle, I'm going to ask you to repeat what you started or what you said about. I don't mean to stir the pot, but
Oh no, just to just make sure that liabilities and everything are are covered. I don't know if there's been issues and problems with that in the past. I agree though with the make a reasonable effort to ensure they leave the library. So when they walk out the door, it is no longer the library's concern or babysitting per se. I mean, it would be impossible for you to follow every child to the car. And
Right, or home, or
Right.
2 blocks. So do we want to look into a couple of these things? Do we want to table it? Do we want to
Well, I think it'd be helpful to
prove
find
it
out.
with
Yeah,
that sentence struck?
I think it'd be helpful to find out from Cooper the age 7 thing, because that
Yeah,
one bothers me a
right.
little bit.
Okay.
And just
And what
that.
if they leave the library and it's not closing time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if at noon they leave the program
And ride their bike home.
and ride their bike? Okay.
Yeah.
So, do we have to move to table?
Can't, no, I think we just table it.
Just table it.
We had to make a motion. Well, for council, yeah, we had to make a motion to table.
Oh, we do?
And I move
Oh, you
that
move,
we
you
table this discussion until our questions are answered.
Second.
Alan seconds. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Everybody opposed or abstained? Perfect.
I've never done that.
And Carrie, we will work together on bringing those questions to whoever we need to.
Okay.
Okay, under old business, we're gonna look again at the discussion and possible approval of the revised
So not
soliciting
anybody standing
policy.
outside. 400 times.
I know, right? I know I said that too. I said,
That
Cooper
is
look
on,
at it?
there's no page numbers on this, but it's a soliciting on library policy property.
Did Cooper end up looking at it or not?
He did, so let me quick, I have last month's copy, I have this month's copy, and I have the questions that we asked Cooper, so let me.
You have the response
I
from Jennifer.
do.
Okay.
Yes. I'm trying to get all that. Okay. So, questions that we had for Cooper. Have it here. I have it in my email, but I thought
I have it in my
was
email if you
maybe
want.
You know what? I should have it. Okay, here we go. Questions that we had. The guideline, okay, here are the notes from the questions with Cooper. The guidelines that were used to write the policy, I think that meant we were asking what guidelines were being used possibly by outside groups that they felt like they had the right to be on our property, and that was free speech case laws. Those were the laws, the cases that they would be using to defend their right to be here. So that was that. Can there be a time limit? We had a question about when they could be out there. Cooper advised that it would be the operational hours that the library is open, and that is in the policy that Jennifer sent out recently as opposed to the policy we looked at last month. So if you look at, I did not highlight it on here, but the second page of the policy, persons wishing, number 3, under regulations, they may do so only during our normal hours of operation. So that's how we answered that. He answered that. And then what about the distance? And his answer was it can be whatever the library board sets as long as it's reasonable. So we probably couldn't say 2 miles.
Have we measured what the 40 feet is?
Carrie and I did last month.
And
That's
where was
why
it
we
again?
suggested 50 feet instead of 40 feet.
Yeah, okay.
Because 40 feet is just not quite
Yeah.
what we were both comfortable with. We thought 50 feet might be
But that's not reflected in the policy you sent.
I know. I'm just saying that's
what we're recommending.
So
Okay, so we want
once
to-
again, we may need to
Yeah, got it.
send this for another reworking, but this is like draft number 2. So looking at draft number 2, the one that we were sent with this month's packet, I guess my question, is just the very first sentence, appropriate conduct in the Franklin Public Library, but we are looking at
Yeah, outside of it. is the
outside
problem.
of it. So, and then at the bottom of that very same page, it has a note that this pertains to the grounds. So I don't know, Judy, do you know what
I know what you're
looking at
saying.
there, and so do we just need to change something in that wording?
Well, I would,
Because-
I wouldn't say appropriate conduct in the library. I would say appropriate conduct at Franklin Public
At?
Library, including its grounds or something like that.
Because we already have an indoor
Yeah,
policy.
Well,
yeah.
for some of these policies, I think it's just like an introductory sentence that somebody
That's what I'm
puts in, and then you get to the other part, and it's these introductory sentences that are
Right.
getting in trouble, and we're wiping them out all over the place.
Well, should we change it to at there then?
Yeah, appropriate conduct at the Franklin Public Library.
But it does say in the
number
Franklin
3.
Public Library and on FPL grounds.
Yeah, the
So-
introductory, the first sentence doesn't.
Yeah, it does, and
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
grounds.
Where is that? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. Hold on. Because I was
The
trying to
one
go
that
back
was
and
in the
look. Hold
packet.
on. No, but I have the May one too because I was trying to see what the changes were. So let me see what this is. Yeah.
In the library, okay, I see. In the library and on the grounds. Okay,
Where is this? Policy.
so we could leave it within.
Wait a minute. This is where are you looking at?
Well, this month's packet.
Oh yeah, he
Very
added it.
first-
He added it in. It was not in last time.
Okay. In, that's true. The last month's didn't have on the grounds, so actually the on the grounds was added. Okay.
Are you done with the questions?
I'm done with the questions. Those are the only ones that we passed on that she asked and he answered.
I just one question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So appropriate conduct in the Franklin Public Library and on the Franklin Public Library grounds.
Yes.
Note, this policy pertains to the use of the FPL grounds and not inside of the FPL building.
I know, that's why I was right.
Some of this wording is. I gotta reread it.
Can we kill the note? Do we need that note?
Well, we have a separate policy for inside, so are they saying different things? We have to make sure they're not saying different things because
Do we have
haven't.
to have the note in there at all?
Right, that's what
Is
Annie
that
said.
Yeah.
the point?
Kill
Right.
the note.
Is
But
it,
if we kill the note, then it's going to suggest this is inside the building. I would almost prefer to say appropriate conduct on Franklin Public Library grounds assures a secure and congenial environment, and then have a note explaining that FPL grounds is not the same as inside the building because we have
we have
separate
a separate
policies.
policy?
So kill the first sentence of the policy.
Well,
Or say appropriate conduct on Franklin Public Library grounds assures instead of in the Franklin Public Library.
And
Yeah.
on the grounds, everybody will understand means not in the building.
Well, because we're going to have the note saying the policy pertains to the use of FPL grounds and not the inside of FPL building.
Well, and there's the number 3 is
Why go all the way to the bottom of the page? Why not just put a parenthetical thing saying that right at the beginning and then be done with it?
I'm fine with that. I'm just saying that we need to have the note making clear this is not applying to the inside of the building.
Agreed.
We have to have something.
or
to
do we
say.
put a little more work into it and revise the entire policy, that's indoor policy, to include outdoors and combine the two? Or do we need two separate policies?
Oh, there's a lot more in the inside policy than
Right.
just solicitation.
I'm inclined to have. I don't disagree with Mike. I think one, it's going to end up being really long, and two,
Right.
isn't this a policy we're going to pull out when the people are
Or outside?
25
Yeah.
feet?
so
I
and
was
just
just-
do a new
Okay,
just keep this as a new one.
so we're going to
Pop's going to read appropriate conduct
Yeah.
on Franklin Public Library grounds assures a secure and congenial environment. Parentheses,
it pertains to the use of the grounds and
this
not the
policy
inside.
pertains to the use of FBL grounds and not inside. A separate policy exists for.
So then that's gonna change your solicitation by staff members because that talks about
Indoor.
everything inside, sign-up sheet, staff rooms.
So maybe the problem here is that we're including all sorts of stuff that's got, like you were talking about, where the disruptive children. We're not talking about disruptive, we're talking about unattended.
Mhm.
If this policy's got nothing to do with anything about inside the building,
Right.
It's just
strike
solicitation.
everything that talks about the inside because we don't care about that.
So again, should we?
Is this a solicitation policy or is this a solicitation anywhere on the grounds? Because
Right.
now the appropriate conduct in the Franklin Public Library is addressed by the one where we're talking about staff doing stuff on their own on the inside, so you can make a connection there.
Carrie, do we have a policy that talks about the things that are identified in 2 and
Soliciting, staff members soliciting.
Yeah.
things.
and solicitors not being permitted to solicit library patrons or staff members on duty? Do we have like those things in a separate policy already or not?
I don't think so.
That we should probably.
So maybe we need to just strike anything that identifies inside or outside and just focus on the soliciting. Except then we're identifying places in the building where staff members and how they can do it, and then we identify outside.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the impetus for this policy was because of a solicitation outside.
Correct.
And then now we're throwing in the staff member thing just kind of like as piggyback legislation.
I'm not sure why that's in there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Is
it's
that
in
a
there.
not
It just
an
doesn't
active
seem to
problem?
fit with
I don't
everything
fi-
else
I
we're
don't-
talking about.
That seems like it should be an employee handbook.
It's
Yes.
exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's I mean, we allow it,
Right. I
and
understand.
it's not.
You
it's-
self-regulate.
We self-regulate, but I do agree that's like an employee policy issue,
It is.
Yeah,
and not part of this policy we're
Talking
creating.
the community.
Right.
And it's possible that Cooper was drawing upon soliciting policies in general and suggested that. That would be a guess that maybe.
Who wrote this?
Well, I think
Cooper did. I think Cooper
I
wrote.
think
Oh, okay.
Cooper wrote it.
Okay,
I think
so
So
Well,
are we
it's not like
striking
it's-
number 2
like new.
completely?
yeah,
I'm going to make a suggestion.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something like the personnel committee
I
or
was-
somebody can
yeah.
meet about, to sit down and talk through it and come up with a policy that we
Okay.
want, and then go to Cooper and say, Cooper, is this legal?
Right.
And then
Right.
just
And
having
sort
that
through-
versus, yeah. That's what with Carrie or Jennifer, whoever. I'm almost inclined to do that because we're talking about a lot of changes right
yeah,
now.
it's right. And I knew that when I read this today. I thought, oh boy. Okay.
Well, you
Okay.
cursed it.
I did. I did.
Let's do that.
Yes. Okay.
I do have one thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe now, if there's anything else that has jumped out at you in this, before I table it, so that the personnel committee, I don't know who else would discuss this, but could
Okay, the
discuss. So go ahead.
general statement section. We're kind of in the middle.
Mhm.
It says, furthermore, staff members should invite.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now, and this is a little bit of a radical example, but a police officer does not invite you to step out of the car.
Correct.
They direct you to.
Okay.
Should ask. They should ask them to leave, and if they don't leave, then they should contact their supervisor.
Okay,
like
so we
the word
want to use.
Ask or direct.
Can we use direct?
I like that.
We use direct, yeah, but I agree with you. Invite makes invite is too nice.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I always tell parents, if you ask your kid, they can say no, right?
Yeah, that's just
You know?
because that's not
Yeah.
what you want.
Right. Okay.
If you want them, it should be. more
My
conservative. That's all I have.
okay. My other thing is that we had talked about, but if because it's 90 degrees outside and they're 50 feet away from the big building, they want to set up a tent for shade. And so I know that number 6 on the second page under regulations that you can't have to maintain the premises free of debris and clutter. We may want to add,
You can't
tents.
erect things on our grounds without our permission.
Right,
I mean,
right,
It gets
but
pretty
not
scary.
limited to.
Right.
So yes, I think that's
I mean, we don't allow people to set up lemonade stands.
exactly. So all right,
I mean, I think that'll be covered by just not
Just-
allowing them on the grounds. Period.
Well, but we
Right.
do allow them on the grounds for within 50 feet.
Are we gonna put 50
outside 50
feet?
feet. We're gonna change that to 50 feet.
Okay,
But even if it's
we'd like
outside
to.
of 50 feet, I don't think they can erect things on our grounds.
I know, yeah.
I think
No.
they even I think that's why all of their, I mean, it's also probably for convenience, but if you ever see them, all of their, even their signs though, are like on a stick or whatever, right? Like, so they have to be mobile. I don't think
Right.
they can set up anything that would stand.
I think they have
Alone.
a stand.
They have
They do have
definitely
the stand.
presently
stand.
have a
Okay.
rack.
We need to talk to
Remember.
Jesse about that.
See, but the rack I think is on wheels, so I feel like then it's not.
It's
Well, okay,
But
so
they're not,
yeah,
they're
so,
not in
okay.
the process of moving it from one place to another. If it's
Right.
sitting still
Yeah.
someplace,
Yeah.
that's not.
All
We're
right.
doing it for their safety.
So, are there any other things that our committee should like Mike pointed out, be inviting? I'm worried about the structures in addition
Right.
to the signs.
I'm
and
making notes as to.
Well, this doesn't. I mean, it's starting out this way as a separate policy, but this what's left of this now really could be incorporated in the general policy about the use of the building and so forth, couldn't it?
Well, that's what we were talking about. I think that's what the
I think we need to
personnel
look at that. I mean, the
committee
personnel
is gonna
committee should look
hash
at
out.
this language and
If
then
it's
are we
so-
gonna keep it as a standalone or should we include it in the general policy
Right.
of the library?
Right.
Point.
So I think that's what we'll hash out. So yes,
Right. I'll have to go back and look at those other policies.
And for the record, apparently since this was brought up last month, there has been much less activity.
I would say I've been here at least once, if not twice, every day since summer reading
Right.
has started. And I haven't seen them.
Right.
Mm-mm.
So, but
Are
I
they
think
aware
it's not a
of
bad
it?
idea to have
No.
to have a
I
policy.
mean, they knew
just-
we were talking about a policy last month.
May I ask who? What is outside?
Jehovah's Witnesses. We have to be.
I think we've had different people at
We
different
have to be.
times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
this has prompted this time, but we have to be. You know, it might be someone else.
Right.
Another time. So.
Yes, it's
I
been
think the
all
point,
I'm
bad.
old
I think
enough
the
to
point is
remember
we don't
the
care
Hare
who's doing
Krishnas.
it. We just have to make sure we have some limits in place to
Yeah.
protect the patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently there were complaints to the city as well as to the library.
Mhm.
So, we felt like.
And I there had been even a lot of parents with their kids that were even saying things to other parents complaining because it was during story times
Right.
and popular times of coming into the library about how uncomfortable they were. They didn't know if they wanted to come into some of these things because they had to walk past these people. So it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
we don't want people to not utilize the library because they're feeling uncomfortable.
Alrighty.
Before we move off of this,
Absolutely.
since we're talking about this, and even though we haven't seen that much activity, let's say that they come around again.
Sure.
Okay, they don't know we don't have a 50-foot policy. We can say, I'm sorry, you cannot be within 50 feet, and just make a point of that. Because if we have situations where parents and their kids are uncomfortable and they're too close, 50 feet's what it's going to be at some point anyway. So to just say, I'm sorry, you can't be within 50 feet.
Well, I think ideally we would meet on this as soon as possible, and we could always send out a revised policy and have an email vote. I think, right?
Would it ever make sense to have? You know how some have no soliciting signs?
Yeah.
I'm just
I
a
know.
wild thought I'm just throwing out there. Not that it's something
We
you'd
could
have to
just
do,
go
just
through
kind
all
of
that.
thinking out loud.
I do think there is some communication between the people that head this up and Jennifer.
Yeah.
So,
she's talked
I think
That may
that
not be an ongoing
relationship has
problem.
been set. Yes, so that she could probably speak to them. It's
Yeah.
not quite, we don't have so many attempting that we need to have but that would be something we could think of if it ever got.
Yeah, hopefully it wouldn't get to that.
I have a procedural question before we move on.
Yes.
I just spent time looking at past minutes. We've never moved to table before. It's just been tabled.
Oh,
Are we making a change or?
well, thank you for looking into that, because that's,
Yeah, we've
Thought
never
we-
moved to
We can
table.
retract that.
and I was just basing it on
And I apologize.
Michelle's
No, that's
suggestion.
okay.
No, because
I
you
just
guys
wanna
use
clarify.
Robert's rules, we
Yeah,
use a
right.
relaxed Robert's rules.
We use
Yeah,
Rob's
things
rules.
I do, yeah.
We
Yeah.
use Bob's
Right.
rules, right? Rob's rules.
How it's been done in the past, I agree. Let's
Yeah.
stay with that policy.
So, yeah,
So
Just-
for
We can
this
retract
one,
that
I will table the soliciting on library property policy,
okay.
and then am I able to withdraw my
Yep,
motion?
the motion and then whoever seconded it.
So I'm gonna withdraw my
So do I have to
motion
note
to,
that?
I think so.
You tabled
The unattended and
Yeah.
the
disrupted.
disruptive children. And so I withdraw that,
I think you do have
And the second on that.
and
was-
Alan, do you withdraw your second on
Of course.
Thank you.
Take it back.
that? All right. Um,
That'll be interesting too.
yeah,
Oh, boy.
and we'll
Sorry
see if,
about
we'll see if the city catches us on that,
And then we'll post
Mum's the
a
word with me.
community,
community.
no,
apology or,
committee meeting.
Yeah.
When we get together to revise
Yes,
this policy.
yes, and so Carrie, if you just wanna like make a note that when Jennifer returns, we should, she should
Set a date.
set a date or, put out, a Google poll for, personnel committee, I guess.
That's the
I don't
word I
know.
was looking for.
We don't have a policy committee
this could be
necessarily.
the closest. Oh, I guess
Yeah.
building and grounds would be the other one.
Other one, that's
Either
what I was
building and grounds or
thinking.
personnel, but one of those.
One
I
of
would
those
suggest the
two.
committee look at it. So
Yeah,
leave it up to you, Maria,
A
which one you
smaller
want to do it.
yeah.
Or I
Okay,
guess you
so-
can make an ad hoc committee. Don't we have that allowed?
we do.
That's how we do the strategic planning one. But
Right. So I'm tabling the soliciting on library property discussion and action. All right. Whew. Thanks for all your input. Any further input, you are welcome to email myself or Jennifer regarding that if you think about this and look at it again and decide
Just don't
something else.
email everybody.
Don't email everyone. All right.
I thought you have to email everyone.
no, then we've done a meeting.
Oh, okay.
If somebody emails everybody doesn't reply, oh, we've done
Oh,
a meeting.
that's right.
An inappropriate meeting. So I think that's what he's trying to get at.
Never mind.
All right. So Michelle, do you have any past or upcoming council actions relating to the library this?
I do not at this time.
Okay. Absolutely. Agenda item 10 for my report. After last month's meeting, I happened to be at City Hall for personal business, and I asked about some library stuff, which I commented on those funds that were not, noted on our thing. I was able to meet with the new city administrator. Not really meet. I met Kelly Hirsch, and then she got in touch with the finance clerk or somebody. Finance, the new person, and got back to me immediately. So I was impressed with the timeline that took place. So that was good. Let's see. A question was brought up, and I believe, Terry, you'll have to correct me, by Terry. This is just something, maybe a thought to put in our heads after the events of last month with Jennifer and everything, and asking if the library has a contingency plan for if there is a major event where many staff are suddenly missing, or what happens if suddenly the director and one or two staff members are out? Is there a succession plan? So maybe,
I think
I will be discussing that with Jennifer, and Carrie maybe. But that would be a thought, because I felt like that was borderline, 4 weeks ago that.
Well, it could be
You
some, it
Yeah.
could be a disaster. I mean,
Right,
you can't-
exactly.
You can't plan for every disaster. At least, if it's really something really huge,
Right.
then it's at least
Right.
okay. When worst happens, do we have these general idea or plan? Are we part of a city plan to do, what do you do you can't just stand around and say,
Yeah.
we should,
Yeah.
we should do what we do.
Is there like a call tree list that you have established? Like we have one established for this city where
Right.
it goes to, I was just put on it because I'm council president. So
Right.
Under the mayor, if the mayor should be available.
Right. Right. So that might be something, I don't know, in the next year's strategic plan, or
Just in fact, it's like,
just
yeah.
something, yeah.
If Jennifer would be available and some major decision needed to be made, or there is an emergency here, or-
Right. Let's
or,
carry.
like who
Maybe you
next
guys
That
are
is
never going to
me.
be allowed to be together anymore.
We
Fly
have
on
to keep
separate
in like
planes.
separate
Well,
rooms.
it's always the thing about
There's a bunker.
right?
Separate bunkers.
If the alarm goes off here, and if Jennifer can't be reached or can't
There's
be
no
here,
alarm.
then. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they have the new system, and I don't know, something to think about. Maybe that would help everyone.
I would,
Call- some
yeah, I
type of
think
call
once
tree.
we get the system, I would assume there would be a
Yeah,
call tree,
yeah.
especially for
Something
that
to think about,
situation.
and I think COVID maybe also gave a good practice because there were times when there were multiple staff people out and there was, decisions that had to be made or
Well, we don't
jobs
have
that
people
had to
to
be
open the
shut.
library, so we don't open the library.
Right, exactly. So,
Yeah,
so
she
that was,
heard it.
I just felt like that was worthy
She's
of
driving again.
mentioning and maybe something to keep in the back of our minds for, further planning, long-term planning.
That also tells us how good of staff that we do have.
Absolutely.
Because
Never
Right.
came up with
even
one.
when they are
Without a
sick
plan.
or hurt
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever, they still answer the phone and do what they need to
Right.
do to get things working or answers
They're
done.
not going the way of artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
Not yet, but man,
Hopefully not, man. That so scares me.
I've started to dabble in it with my other job, and man, it's amazing.
All right, so that's it for me, and then Carrie is going to give our report this month,
So
which we've already read.
you've
so,
already read
yes.
it, so I'm not going to bore you too much. I will say, because we did discuss this last month, because we had some staffing issues. We did, you guys all approved another intern position, and we had a couple candidates that we thought would pick up on the job and be like excited, but they didn't. So luckily, our youth reference intern, Madeline, we offered those hours to her, and she happily picked them up. So Madeline is now our library intern. She's doing everything. She's learning youth, she's learning teen and adult. So, I mean, actually, it's really to her benefit for her career. And she's great. She's a very quick learner. She's wonderful. So we're very, very happy that she agreed to take on those extra hours, and she has already become a very big help to everyone.
Yeah, she
So-
seems pretty great.
Yeah, she is. She's really nice, and she really is picking up things quite quickly, and she has a really good rapport, customer service.
She also picks up my babies.
Oh, really? Well, there you go.
Like Brittany, carrying around my kids around them.
Maybe she will be a children's librarian then. And then just a quick update on the Eagle Scout project. So our Eagle Scout that wants to do some work around the flagpole is moving fast. I guess he has to get this project done by the end of summer, which will be very nice. He got permission to do it from, you know more about the Eagle Scout stuff than I do, all the boards and all the things.
They have to get permission from the whole scouting organization, but
Which I think he got.
right, and then they have to obviously get permission from the.
Like their troop
or like-
something.
Oh yeah, that's
That's the
all
easiest
that.
part.
Is that the easy part?
But then
Yeah.
obviously they have to work with their community
Yeah.
partner or whatever. And my only question is with the parking lot
No.
situation.
Yeah, I know, right?
I I didn't know what was happening with that flagpole area. And I'm assuming that Jennifer made sure that whatever he's planning on doing, if there's new lights, cameras, actions, that it will all be good with that. So,
I'm assuming she did.
Yeah.
But I cannot speak for her.
no.
Oh yeah, what is his
Um,
plan with it?
But it's cool. He's going to do
yeah.
a little retaining
yeah.
wall. So right now there's nothing. Everything just goes right down to the sidewalk. And, they salt it there heavily, so it's very hard for things to continue to grow.
Right.
Because the salt and the snow just goes on it. So right now there were tulips planted in there by some of the teen volunteers. And we had another volunteer here who was, pulling out the dead stuff, and a lot of the bulbs came out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Because they weren't planted very
Right.
well.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, Jennifer, let's have her dig them all up. We'll put them in a paper bag, save them.
Mm-hmm.
Once he gets done doing his project, we'll plant them back in there. So he wants to do the retaining wall and fill it in and plant perennials around it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I just, for my own use, I just happened to just Google salt tolerant perennials, and
Mhm.
there's just a variety.
Yeah.
I mean, daylilies, all sorts of different.
Can't kill daylilies.
So I mean, there's
I'd like to
there's lots of different
Yeah.
things that are perennials that can go in there. So
Probably put some hostas in there if they don't die.
Just a quick question. Don't they usually give us a presentation of what they're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one who did that, he did come.
Yeah.
mhm.
So maybe that was because Jennifer invited. I don't think he needs to present to the board to get permission, because that's up to the library director. I think it's kind of more.
Andy wants it, I can tell.
Well, I
totally agree. So
I mean, that last Eagle Scout really,
Because its project was huge.
the memorial thing?
well,
The,
Oh,
there was
The
one that
benches?
did like the big memorial, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
one that
that's
did just
huge.
the
that,
one
Headstone.
monument kind of thing.
oh, okay.
Which was pretty nice.
yeah, he
Could
like,
you,
no
Carrie, would you
communication.
make a note to
Yeah.
Jennifer that we would like him invited to our next board meeting?
Yes, I will.
Because it was kind of a struggle with that last one, right?
It was.
Yeah, like I don't think he was communicating with us about what his
Yeah,
status of his project
no,
was.
not
what
at
was to be
all.
done. Yeah, I agree.
But we're not going to hold up his project.
No, we're not going to
No,
hold
no,
up his
he doesn't
project.
Need to, yeah, he, I don't think he needs
But
to
it would
do
be
it,
nice
but,
to.
No.
He's been very communicative with
Yes,
Jennifer and
I bet.
I do have
Oh,
to say.
that's
Good.
great. And to be honest with you, with a boy that age and a Boy Scout troop, I'm just speaking from my personal experience, they have no idea that there's a board behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. So it would be Jennifer that would say, we have a board, come and present to
Well,
us.
it might also be nice based on what was mentioned about, and while you're doing this project, there's going to be a ton of other construction going on around here in the parking lot. So just
How you gonna handle
incorporate that into your plans so that you know if you're going to be bringing stuff
Right,
in, that's, like you're building a retaining wall.
Yeah.
Part of the parking lot might be closed.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't drive it
Right.
up there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's a learning experience for him. That's
Yeah.
part of it. That's what
Exactly.
they have to
Right.
figure it out.
Yep,
So,
yep.
okay.
What else?
So I don't think there's much to update you guys on the parking lot, but I hope you guys will have a chance to see the very cute mailbox that the kids painted.
I hope so.
It's adorable.
Is it out there now?
I think that it is inside now and it's waiting to get
Waiting for the
shellacquered so that it doesn't
parking lot
come
to be
off in the
closed.
rain.
Yeah.
And for the parking lot to be closed because
Right.
we don't need it for fun. But it's very cute. I thought that is a cute idea.
Mm-hmm.
I joke that we can just keep reusing it.
I
for,
know.
like, other things.
we
Like
totally
Christmas,
should.
They can repaint it again.
Yes, it's a
and
good
they
idea.
can make it a
Santa in the mailbox.
Yeah, they can just keep reusing it for things.
I do have an extra, the security project, she doesn't have a lot written in here about it, but she did send me an email today. And I would like to fill you guys in on that. So Heartland Business Systems is currently, they're beginning their project with the police department. And they're going to begin around the 10th of July. And they're hoping to be completed on the 18th of August.
Here in the library.
No, at the
Oh, at the
police
police
department.
department, okay.
So this has pushed it back for the library getting their security
Okay.
installed.
Okay.
The police department apparently really wanted, it says, okay, this is an email from Jim. The PD really came down hard on the vendor as they have quite a few projects at schools that had to be completed prior to the fall semester starting. They estimate that police department and library will begin in September when more resources free up. So the library will begin in September. They'll start in September.
Are
Whereas
they
I-
doing the schools too?
No.
The police security. Yeah, some of it's kind of
Well, I think the reason Doris
Can't
is
be
asking
talking
is because schools came up in the wording.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little confused.
I
But
think what they're
it's-
saying is that because school's out, there's security issues that we can't talk about for safety
Right.
reasons.
yeah,
That they need
okay,
to get done
Yeah,
while
yeah.
school is
But-
out.
gotcha.
Heartland or
Yes.
the police department?
That's what I was
Heartland
trying
Yeah.
probably needs to
Heartland
get it
needs to get it done.
done.
Yep.
Was-
And that's why we're getting pushed back.
Public
And
gotcha.
I sit
We're
on
good.
technology commission, and we have a meeting on Wednesday, so I may have an update on that.
Okay.
So what are
Otherwise,
we
it's great you've been in
paying
contact
for?
with
We
Jim.
paid
Yeah.
$17,000
Alright.
Well, and-
already. So
Equip-
what?
Yep. Yeah.
Equipment,
So
but they,
Equipment.
because some of that was going in prep for that stuff, but it's going into the parking lot, right? All the conduit and all the.
But
Things that have to be
and Jim
ordered.
does say that he has a rack and UPS that just came in for the library. So
Okay.
so that's equipment
So
we've paid
equipment,
for
right.
that's
Okay.
here.
Gotcha.
He said I have to figure out a way to get it over there and then schedule a time to move things around in the room and install it. So our money is there are
Okay, it's
things
like
that we've
materials
paid
and-
for
yeah, okay.
that we'll start seeing. It's just that the installation won't be starting until September here.
Okay.
Do we get a discount?
Right? We're not paying interest on this.
Yeah, what the heck?
I'm not sure about that.
5%?
So
Contractual late fee?
Yeah.
these are all questions to ask Jennifer, you
Okay.
guys. I don't know.
I mean-
For not being done.
Ask Jim. Is there? Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Let's
know.
call
Do
him
we
up
get?
right now.
I mean, they just keep pushing it out, right?
That is a good question, especially if it's not on us.
Well,
it's
and
on
maybe
them.
maybe we can talk about, because I know Jim was going to come to one of our meetings a few months ago, and
Yeah.
there was a family emergency, and he couldn't make it. So
Right.
maybe he'd be willing to come and give us an update.
And I
So-
can
Yeah,
have
I'm sure he would.
Jennifer.
I have no update as
Yeah.
far as on the
Right.
council side. This is
Right.
the first time
Right.
hearing of this too.
Yeah.
And
So-
like I said, he emailed her this afternoon. So
But that would be interesting if there is some kind of, even if, we're only paying a portion of it, but even the city or somebody should be getting some kind of discount if it keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed and,
Yeah,
Good
that probably
point.
won't happen.
or some kind of free
Never
upgrade.
hurts to ask.
yeah, right.
That's 20 grand that we could have been earning 400% interest on.
Yeah, we're doing
Four
great.
hundred, I see. 500.
All right.
Yeah, you guys could read about the social work intern. I don't have enough information
Yeah.
on it yet
That
to
sounds like
be able to
personnel
say
maybe,
anything.
or-
And yeah, summer reading's been going really well. We have over 1,000 people now registered. 1021 as of Brittany's last update a few hours ago.
I do have a question when it comes to summer reading program, and I guess it's probably between Alan and you that maybe you could both help. Summer reading is huge this year, and we love it when we're outside for the story times. However, this speaker, we can't hear anything because it's the
It's not.
set that we have, the PA that we have, and it's been the same for years. It just does not. If they move, it does not work. So we're not going to continue to have probably such large numbers because nobody can hear it. So I'm wondering if it's in our budget or if we have the money somewhere. Because even when they do use it inside, because Bernie does occasionally have to do it for the larger programs, use them inside too. It's better inside, but it still isn't like super great. So is there money somewhere is that something that can be updated? Or
We just did.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, we just
isn't that
did.
part of our
Phaedra,
audio?
what
That's
maybe
in
the one in
Phaedro.
Phaedro. So this is the
This is the
portable
portable one that Doris
Oh.
is talking about.
Yeah.
But-
That's a foundation
the-
question.
Why are they using
it?
portable? In-
Maybe well,
It's
she
outside.
hasn't used it
Oh,
in there yet.
outdoor.
I was thinking from previous
Oh, I thought
years.
she said, but indoor
Okay.
is not much better.
She has not used it indoor yet
Okay.
this year that I've heard. So
Okay.
so that's different. So then I'm wrong on that part. But outdoor is what they use, and I haven't been
Okay.
able to hear them at all because if they just step one way or the other way, You can't. It doesn't.
Can they
It's
like
not
just portable
working.
microphone or anything?
Yes.
Portable, like one
It
they can
is.
wear?
It is, but it goes out all the time. Like they basically have to stand in one exact spot for it to work, and
Outside.
so it is not.
If they is that the same company that put the system in the
Oh, no.
No.
This is something we bought at
So
like
it's just a portable.
online.
So it's like one speaker that they bring out, and then it's just like a
How much are they?
portable mic set.
Right.
Because I
A
was
good
gonna
one's a lot of
I
money.
would see if it was, maybe we could have them.
This
look
is
at this
probably
system
like
because
a
in the
cheap
favorite
one.
room.
I don't
That's
know.
where
You know,
when
maybe
I was
it
here
is
recently for
something
a
that simple.
city-oriented neighborhood meeting. The Fader room was
Maybe
split
it's
in one
something we
half,
could-
and the group that was having a meeting in the
Jennifer
other half.
Talk to
I
We
Barbara
all
about
were you here that night?
now.
That was
Since we're
horrible.
gonna
I
That was
have
not good.
I have been here when that same problem has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how much
But
is
yeah,
it?
it's the portable stuff, and I don't even think that they're that
How good of a system you want.
right. I think that they can
It's
be
not gonna
cheap
break
to.
the budget. If they need to buy a new one, just buy one.
If you want another cheap one, you can just buy a new one.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Are we talking 10 grand here?
I mean, I
No.
can ask my husband
Yeah,
what the top of the
totally.
line would be, and I bet you he could get you a 10
He
grand
probably
portable
What?
speaker
Okay,
system.
what's one that would
never-
be
we
sufficient
never
for our
buy top of the
needs?
line. We
No.
always buy one.
I would,
That would be
yeah,
good.
and it's just, do they only have one speaker?
Do they have
That might also be part
Well,
of the
how much-
problem
how
is
much
that they need
space-
more
It's
than
it's
one.
the
Cover.
it's the connection between the mic and the speaker set, whatever. Because it's
Oh.
been this way for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But
do they only do it out behind the tree?
yeah, but I think this is the set because I know they a couple years ago. I think they used to bring it into Phaedra probably before the
Before we had the
system
new
was.
system.
It's probably the same system that
So
was
Carrie,
used
can
at
your
the
husband get a
Memorial
hold of
Day,
some
the Veterans Day.
equipment that we could
Yeah,
purchase
probably.
that's usable?
Like used equipment?
Yeah.
No, not anymore, unfortunately.
Well,
So
I'm
my
looking
other-
at Amazon, like this voice amplifier, which says it's great for outdoor use, amplifies your voice. It's like $35. I'm sure.
I'm sure it's
Wow.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's probably
I'm sure it's
terrible.
not,
I'm
but
sure it's horrible.
my whole point is there's got it can't be $1,000.
No, I'm sure they're. I mean, like I would say, like $500, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, and
So
I was
my-
thinking you
my-
could probably
my
get
next-
a decent one for $2,500, like
So-
for a pretty good one, I would think.
That would be. I would say that's a really
That's probably
good one.
a really good one.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
it sounds like a sense of urgency here. You don't want to ruin
Yeah.
your summer programming because
Right.
and it's not going to get better on its
and they've been pulling 125 people for story times.
Is it a case that the speaker's fine and we just need new microphones, like new headsets?
That would be something that
You could start
needs
there.
to get figured out.
And
But
do we
it's
want to
really
throw
bad.
money into a temporary solution when we want to throw
Well,
a
but
better
if the
amount of money
headsets is
into
a permanent solution,
Right.
then we're good until it
Yeah.
breaks.
I mean, it would just.
Well, I mean, if it's something that's $500, then that's a good, like that's a
right?
for one or 2 years until something with the patio and whatever could be fixed. That's a
Well,
reasonable
that's what
amount.
I was wondering. Would a more expensive permanent solution on the patio be a better solution? But that's more long term and more research
knows,
and more
right.
Yeah,
Right.
this is a time is of the
Yeah,
essence issue.
yeah.
How long does summer reading last?
Till
Through
July
July.
28th,
Yeah.
till the end of July.
So we
So
got
like
another
a
month.
30-day return window?
I like your thinking.
Seriously?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I mean, they use it for other things sometimes too. Like it's not, but
well,
yes,
until we've
if it
got
was
time
terrible,
to research it and
right?
you
but
know.
if it was terrible, absolutely, they should return it. If it doesn't work very good, why not get a decent? Why not try
Do
one out?
Brittany and Sarah have ideas?
Well, it sounds operational, so
Right.
let's
Yeah,
not take
okay.
too much more time here
Yeah.
trying to solve
Yeah.
All right.
I think if they knew that they could probably get something. But if your husband's in the
Yeah,
speaker,
don't-
then ask
If you
him.
could recommend,
I'm texting him right
All right.
now.
Don't hurt the programming.
I'm
for
trying.
Extending a couple bucks.
I'm a
Yeah.
one finger
Yeah.
texter.
For sure.
And like
All
I
right.
said,
Carrie,
30-day return
oops.
policy.
She's texting, don't interrupt.
Right. Anything else from?
N-
Take your time. Not take time, but yeah.
That's
I'm not rushing you through
Take your
the
time,
list.
don't take your time, Gary. Yeah.
Oh, that was the summer. You were on summer reading program
Yes.
because that's
Yes.
why I interrupted.
Oh yeah, and if you guys haven't checked out the chairs in the children's area, you should. They're really cute.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. as far as I can
I'm sure
see.
the MICLA stuff will come up again, so we probably
yeah.
don't need to delve
Get
into
into
that
Yeah.
tonight.
Do we
No.
have any control over that? I mean, aren't they pretty much just going to negotiate with
Yeah,
themselves?
we don't have any control.
Right.
Yeah.
This is-
What are the emails that we get about the training?
Oh yeah, I've been getting those lately. I'm
Like
what the heck's
4 a
the
day?
What is it from Shannon? Is that her
4 a
name?
day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
I think
On
it's a
Skype.
new,
Oh.
it's probably part of their new marketing or communication.
It's been going on for years.
Really? How come I'm getting them now then?
Anytime new,
Because you signed up for it.
No, I
anytime
didn't. Shannon
new
shows
library
DPI.
board members
Yeah,
come
you signed up
on,
for that.
When?
She said you-
I didn't.
Sorry.
I started getting them like the first. It was after the first of this year or something. It was a couple months ago. That's when I
It was
started.
Thank you.
It was in April, and we had to sign. You had to agree to get them.
Mm.
You signed up for something,
What did I sign up
some
for?
kind of evaluation or something that you did.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
let's ask
Somehow.
Jennifer about it
Okay.
next month, or I'll ask her so she has an answer by next month, because I've never, in all my years here, ever received them and just started receiving them. So it must be some either new person or new something.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
get to the
Somehow
bottom.
they
Because it's a
know to send
trustee
it to
thing.
them, or we'll all be
Trustee.
getting it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not getting them?
I don't think so.
I'm putting a rule in my email to just
Okay.
automatically forward all mine tonight. So
Got it. There you go.
And
Alrighty.
I treat that as a blessing, right? Thank you so much.
Carrie, any comments on at a glance?
Did I miss that?
Well,
Do I not? Oh, there I am.
usually skip over it, so I was
Oh.
trying to pay attention to it.
Um,
But you were talking
look at all that yellow. I'm just
I
gonna say,
know.
look at all that yellow. That's so great.
Looks good.
Yay, yellow.
Alrighty, thank you, Carrie, for being here. Any questions for Carrie beyond what we've all discussed? Hey, foundation, Annie?
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. And then there wasn't a colon meeting.
No,
No,
but
okay.
the news was
Uh-oh.
that I've
Did you get kicked off?
have you been renewed? Have you been?
We're on the
Place your
everybody's
bets. Place your
team.
bets.
But it's not on the agenda.
Well, it should have been.
I know.
So,
why
all right,
isn't it
well,
on
I
the
can't
Oh,
say
agenda?
because he didn't have a meeting, so it's
So I
not
have
on
to
the
wait till
agenda.
next month.
Wait, but there's news.
I know.
I spoke to Maria and she'll give us the president's update.
There's
Did
news.
already.
God.
Well, it's a update.
Do you know the answer, Maria?
I know.
Oh
We can't really add agenda items.
no, I was gonna see if they can show us where it is on the agenda.
It is. I can say.
Is what's my line?
Yeah. Tell me. Excellent. Okay, so I forgot to mention something in my president's
Oh my
report, agenda item 10, and that was that Terry has been renewed for another 3 years.
Yay!
Just like here.
Right. So, alrighty. So the upcoming library board meetings, the finance committee will meet in July, and then our next meeting is July 24th. Is there anybody that already knows they won't be here? Excellent.
There's a possibility I might be late.
Okay.
Later than me.
I just don't want to have to mark myself tardy.
You didn't write Charlie next to his name. You said he's not all here.
I can always count on you for the good stuff.
Oh my god.
All right. So anybody other than Annie? All right.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second. Oh man. Okay, we have Annie and Doris. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So
Okay. Have a great month, everybody.